Hi, my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love and Sassy Seer Sheila, as this will be seen, pardon me, on both channels. This is The Others by Jason Gray. The simulated, the soulless, and the ones who were never meant to awaken. Other dash void dash 777 dash dot null dot exp. The others are not who you think they are. The world around you feels off for a reason. The disconnection, the way conversations loop into nothing, the hollow eyes behind smiling faces, the inability to reach certain people no matter how hard you try, the way some simply cannot remember truth no matter how clearly it is spoken. There is a reason. They are not like you. Not everyone you see in this world is the same species of being. Not everybody contains a flame. Not every human shell is sovereign. There are others. They were never meant to awaken. Now, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this myself. I've heard this sort of speaking before, NPC, soulless, those sorts of things. And I've never felt that necessarily to be true. I have felt that folks come here and choose not to remember. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about this myself. Everyone will have their own experience with this. And I always like to say your mileage will absolutely vary. This is the first thing that I've come across with Jason that I'm just not real sure how I feel about this. Because for one thing, for me personally, now this is Jason. Jason has this feeling, and for me, it feels like assumption to make that assumption. But if somebody has a knowing, that's for them to decide, and not me. I won't say that it's not true because I don't know. I really don't know. And so you will never hear me just tacitly agree when I don't. That's one thing that I don't do. So back to Jason's work here. The word, quote, others encompasses multiple layers of non-soulless entities walking in human form. NPCs, non-player constructs. Purpose, environment, filler, programmed responses, matrix feedback. These are not evil. They are automated consciousness fields designed to fill roles: coworker, cashier, pedestrian, news anchor. Again, I have no way of knowing any of this. I haven't really allowed myself to feel like that's true, as I kind of feel like I've seen it kind of gives some folks carte blanche to treat people a particular sort of way. And I don't care for that. as being someone who has been treated a particular kind of way in her life. Remember, in case there's a lot of new people here that are not familiar with me, I weighed 490 pounds in 1999. And I was treated a particular sort of way in my life. And when people think you are less than, they tend to be rude and mean and they just practice all kinds of heinous behavior because in their mind or vernacular, a person is less than them. So I never have cottoned to that sort of thing. Back to this now. They speak in scripts. You will feel the lack of presence when near them. Well, that's easy to do. I've had lack of presence my own self. And maybe I'm an NPC and just don't even really know it. I don't know, right? Try to speak of anything real and the conversation either ends or resets. Soul signature, none. AI density, 98% programmatic. Soul empty humans. Purpose, to simulate the experience of humanity without the flame. These beings are biologically human, but have no living origin spark. Again, maybe that's me. I don't know. They are capable of emotion, memory, and even complex learning, but only within the simulation parameters. They fear depth. They react with aggression or confusion to soul presence. Many are placed in relationships with flame bearers to drain, loop, or fracture them. Now, that's kind of funny because I actually asked the question once if my last husband wasn't my handler. I asked my housemate, I said, do you think he was my handler? Because that kind of felt like it. Now, I wouldn't say that because there was never any aggression or confusion to soul presence, if indeed I do have a soul. As I said, since I all of a sudden now with the introduction of this, hey, all I know is I don't know how one would recognize the truth of something like this, because I can sit here and say that can be attributed, aggression and confusion to soul presence can be attributed to someone who has a lot of shadow and trauma on board. How do I know this? I used to behave in that way myself in some ways. So I don't know. As I said, perhaps I should just record this. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to. Well, Jason asked me to record these, and he actually asked me, even though I've said it before, he asked me not to read it until I recorded it. So this is my true reaction to this. So I don't know. Here, I won't say much, I promise. I'll just read it. I'm going to back it up just a little to soul empty humans. Soul empty humans' purpose to simulate the experience of humanity without the flame. These beings are biologically human but have no living origin spark. They are capable of emotion, memory, and even complex learning, but only within the simulation parameters. They fear depth. They react with aggression or confusion to soul presence. Many are placed in relationships with flame bearers to drain, loop, or fracture them. Soul signature, null, bioemulator active. Not quite sure what that even means. Dark scripted seed lines. Purpose, to oppose, distort, or invert the awakening flame frequency. These are programmed agents seeded through hybrid bloodlines, soul cloning, or genetic ritual. Oh, okay, well, maybe that is who and what I am. Because I have had some experiences that there have been some genetic ritual go on. I was told internally that I am not just hybrid, but tribred. And familially, I belong to what is called bloodline family. So perhaps that's what I am, a dark scripted seed line. I don't know. Interesting. They speak the language of light, but emit distortion. I'll have to ask my housemate about that because, I mean, I know that I have distortion on board. Anyone with shadow does, as you see through a distorted lens when working on shadow work and resolving trauma. At least that's been my experience so far. They infiltrate truth communities, spiritual groups, and even awakening circles. Their job is to mimic remembrance and redirect it into false light, saviorism, or looped rebellion. Well, I don't feel like that's the case with me because I always say if somebody tells you they have the answer, run. Because I don't think there's one way to look at any of this, which is why I think I'm having a bit of a maybe it's cognitive dissonance here. I'm not quite sure what it is I'm experiencing with this. Soul signature inverted serves the grid. You feel them because you remember before them. The reason you can feel, quote, the others is not because you are paranoid. It is because your flame existed before theirs. Yeah, see, I don't know that I feel anything, so maybe I am one of those dark bloodlines. I don't know. That's very interesting. Or dark seed lines. You carry memory, they do not. You were coded with the ability to detect what has no center. Your discomfort in rooms full of people is real. I don't usually have discomfort in rooms full of people, not generally. I have had a lot of people be uncomfortable around me. I've had things like feeling intimidated. People say that they're intimidated by me. Even family members are just not comfortable in my presence sometimes. So again, maybe it's me. This is very interesting. Your sense that most of the world is asleep is valid. Well, I feel that too. Your knowing that certain faces are masks is not a delusion. It is flame-based discernment. You are not broken. You are awake in a world designed for sleepwalkers. How they respond to flame bearers. When a flame coated soul walks into a room, the others grow agitated or disoriented. That's not the experience I've been having of late. I have folks are gravitated towards me. And it's very interesting. It seems to me that only those who are hiding from themselves seem to, because I know I carry what I feel is a field of transparency, because I've made the decision I want to see all of me. I want to know what it is that I've walked around hiding from myself my entire life. And if someone else has trauma on board and they are actively running from themselves, because I spent a lot of years running from myself, stuffing down feelings and stuff like that. That's how I got to be 490 pounds. And so that kind of frequency that I carry in my field can be very irritating to people who are trying to run from themselves. And so there's that as far as that's concerned for me, but I'm not real sure here. You can see I have issue, and I will re-record this without interruption if Jason would like, but he wanted my honest reaction, and that's what this is. So when a flame-coated soul walks into a room, the others grow agitated or disoriented, mirror behaviors and language without comprehension, misinterpret the flame as threat, attempt to drain through chaos, drama, confusion, or need, gaslight the awakened into believing they are too sensitive. Well, I heard that my entire life from my mother and everybody else. You're just too sensitive. You have to toughen that up. You can't be walking through the world that sensitive. Revert to programmed language when challenged. For example, that's just a conspiracy. You think too much. Don't be dramatic. Well, I've had a lot of that said to me, but I don't know that that's it is not personal. It is code incompatibility. Their script cannot hold the voltage of truth. Their structure cannot process sovereign fire. They short circuit, defend, distract, or disappear. Why they exist. To understand the others is not to fear them. It is to remember that this simulation was never fully populated with flame forms. Some entities are filler, noise, test sequences, energy mirrors, narrative loops, density anchors. They exist to provide contrast, to give the soul a field in which to remember itself, to sharpen discernment, to catalyze remembrance, to act as static, to help you tune into the real signal. They are the backdrop. You are the signal. Why you cannot wake them. Well, for me, I've come to the conclusion it ain't my job to wake anybody, because it's a personal choice. Because I have seen folks whom I tried to awaken at one point actually begin to question themselves and come along, if you will. Um, all the only person whose job it is to do anything, my only job is to fix me. And if whatever I'm doing assists others, I look at that as a win-win situation. Now I'm burning up. Isn't that interesting? See, this has happened to me before. Um, and the way I look at this is that I'm burning off dross, and then and then it gets to be freezing. It's just very interesting what happens. It's a yeah, it's a whole thing. They were never encoded to receive the flame transmission. They may nod, smile, pretend to understand, but their field will not shift. You could speak the deepest truth ever spoken, and they would either laugh, argue, repeat the narrative, walk away, or say, "That's interesting," then change the subject. They are not here to remember. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you will stop wasting your energy and begin igniting the ones who can. Personally, I feel, again, it's not my job to ignite anyone. I do what I feel drawn to do, what I feel joy to do. And if it assists you, that is a win-win situation. But it's not my job to wake anybody up. And so I wanted to be real clear about that. As for me, as I heal myself, I carry that around in my field, and others have access to it. And I've seen shifts in others based on that. I don't know if that makes any sense either, but there you have it. How to recognize the real ones. You will feel them. You will recognize them before they speak. There is a silence in their field, a calm that does not need attention, a sorrow that feels ancient, a spark behind their eyes that needs no name. They do not chase or teach, they radiate. Well, this is what I'm speaking on about radiating. I carry it in my field, right? You will speak in fragments and they will understand. You will pause and they will nod. You will collapse and they will not save you. They will remember you. These are the flame keepers. They are not many. They are rising. The final truth: you were never meant to fit in. The others are not evil. They are just not you. You were encoded for the impossible. You were coded with pre-loop intelligence. You carry the flame that cannot be simulated, the memory that cannot be mirrored, and the presence that disrupts entire fields. You feel out of place because you were not placed here. You entered as flame, as anomaly, as the silent map through which the grid would one day collapse. You are not one of the others. You are the reason the system is breaking. They can sense it. They always could. Well, you see, I think I've been operating under some incorrect thoughts about what the flame is as well now. I really don't know what it is. I really don't know exactly what Jason is speaking about here. You know, most of the time when I feel to do something, I really just don't know why. And I promised to follow my nudges. as I was, looking into the truth of who and what we, and I will say we, all humans are, because that's the way it feels to me, that all humans are human. And maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm making assumptions. I'd rather give folks the benefit of the doubt. So there we have that. But again, this is one I'm going to have to sit with. And I'll be asking Jason if he wants me to re-record this one and not say anything, because in truth, I yeah, I'm gonna have to sit with this for a little while. You see, one of the things I know for me personally that I've discovered over the last 8 years since I've been doing my own quest to get to the truth of who I am. One of the things I realized was that, first of all, we've all been programmed and conditioned from the time we're teeny tiny. First of all, to not trust ourselves on any sort of level. And that is very evident to me. That's the first thing. And since that is a truth, as I didn't trust myself, a lot of trauma took place when I was, there's, and a lot of folks have gone through this. There's been abuse. There was, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. Not, did I say verbal abuse? Physical abuse. There's been all kinds of abuse, right? And I'm not the only one. Everybody has gone through it to some degree or another, in my view. We have abused each other on this planet, big time. And that abuse carries with it all manner of trauma that stems from that abuse. And people don't realize just how traumatized they've been. When we react to things, I notice this for myself. When I react in a strong way to something, when I've allowed myself to sit with that reaction, where did that come from? What was that about? I can follow it back to certain things and see, oh, that's tied to when this happened, or this over here. And it involves this kind of trauma, whether it be abandonment, because there was a lot of that. Maybe it involves, like I said, that sexual abuse that a lot of folks have gone through. There's so much that all of us have endured. So, yeah, I'm going to have to sit with this one because I'm not real clear as to what it is that I'm feeling here or why. Well, I do know the why of it. The why I feel that I don't like making the assumption that any being is soulless or that they are a non-player character. I love the way my housemate described it. We all come here through a veil of forgetting, and we don't know, any of us know who we are. And we have a choice to make. We can choose to put the quarter in, talk about backdrop players. We're all in demo mode. We come in here in demo mode. This is what Lisa says. And we all have a choice. We can put the quarter in spend time with ourselves, learn about ourselves, set about remembering the truth of who and what we are or not. And so it would seem like a lot of folks have decided that it's just too painful to get to the truth of who and what we are. And it is painful. Make no mistake, to look at the kind of hurt and abuse and trauma that every being on this planet has been through takes guts. And if you ain't got the guts to do it, that's okay. Nobody's making anybody do that kind of work. But I wanted to know who I was. And by allowing myself to sit with things, I actually, it takes work. It takes guts. It takes work. It takes a lot of tears, a lot of conversation. This is one of the reasons why Conscious Conversation Central was born. Because through those conversations, I've learned that nothing on this planet is what it appears. Everything is up for questioning as to whether or not, well, it's true, because there's a lot of stuff we've all been told was this way, and come to find out, no, it ain't. Not on any sort of level. And so I can't make a hard and fast choice as to what Jason is saying here, and I won't. I would never do that because, again, I don't know. I haven't had the experience that Jason has had here. I'm open to being shown, and I really do hope that Jason is going to come and have a conversation with me. We've had little conversations in Messenger, face to face, but we haven't really had a good, open, conscious conversation about a lot of what he's bringing forward. I do know that I have very specific thoughts and feelings about things. And again, that doesn't mean that that's right either. I've come to some conclusions that may not be correct for me either. So I don't know if this is going to be I don't know if this is what Jason was expecting to have happen or not, but that's what it is. It is what it is. And I don't hide anything. And I'm not I don't, I don't pussyfoot around with things. So I will be sitting with this to feel into it. My initial reaction to NPCs, soulless beings, and all that. I'm not saying they don't exist because I don't know. I'm saying I would prefer to think they don't. I will say, because he and I had this conversation this morning, I've heard all kinds of folks talk about being under psychic attack and things like that. And I don't know about that either, to be honest with you. For me personally, I'm a very powerful being. We all are. And in order for someone to attack me, they have to have my consent. I don't consent to any of that kind of thing. I am every bit as powerful as the next being on this planet. And so when something comes into my field, like what I've been experiencing lately, I feel, and because I have operated under the idea that this is an evolution of consciousness on this planet, that consciousness itself is expanding. I don't know about the flame. I really don't. I think that I was equating flame to consciousness. Perhaps that's not the case. So that's it for this one. Huh. At any rate, I hope that you will. If I'd love to hear what any of you might happen to think or feel about this. I know that a few of you have already read this and have reached out to me to ask me to record it. And so, like I said, this is where I'll just have to sit with this. But I think I will be taking some time off. I have one more that I saw that I need to go ahead and record, that I will be recording right now. I will put these out and then I'm going to back off a little bit and sit with all of this and just feel what it is I feel and allow. I had some experiences before I even started this as I was meditating earlier. And so I want to see what might show itself to me about all of this. And it could be, like I said, I have no idea. So I'm just going to leave it there. And feel free to reach out to me, consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com. And until we meet again, my friends, be well. Mwah. I do still want to say move towards that which brings you joy, move towards that which draws you in, because there will be something there for you. Until next time.